Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for being here today. Okay, so I've got two canvases and I've got a tropical vibe colour palette. And this piece today is a very special piece. It's for a very special friend and this is a commission piece. And Denise wanted a piece that she could hang up in her home that included these very vibrant colours of a tropical colour palette. I'm doing a swipe with a marble and I'm creating some block colour, some lines and obviously some lacing. So this is the thickness of my paint. It's mixed with a pouring medium, 3 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint, and all those details are listed in the description box below. So I'm really happy to do this. This is going to be a really fun piece. It's a real happy piece. So let's see what we can create. So I'm going to create both pieces at the same time. So my intention here is to puddle the colours one by one on each of the canvases. And then what I'll do is I will take a marble, I will place the marble within those puddles, create some lines by tilting the canvases, and then I'll add a swipe of lacing throughout each of those pieces. But first of all, let's just take each colour one by one, puddle those on the canvas and enjoy the process. So each of my paints are mixed with a pouring medium. So 1 part paint to 3 parts pouring medium. And I find that's a really good consistency when doing this type of technique. It will help the marble slow down when you're tilting it. It will help the lacing also keep its shape when you're stretching the paint across the canvas. So that's the formula and the ratios that I use for this type of technique. You'll see that I've added a line of white around those first 2 colours. That's because when I add my yellow, I really do want that yellow to remain really vibrant. I don't want it to mix with the other colours too much and become muddy. So that's why I wanted to add that little bit of white. White is also part of the colour palette as well, but it's just going to ensure that those colours do remain the vibrancy that I'm intending them to keep. And just so you know, I have sped up some parts of the video. I don't normally work this fast. So yeah, just enjoy each moment and each part of the process when you do your creation and when you paint. I'm really happy with the layering of those puddles, but I can see some air bubbles, so I'm just going to take my torch and I'm just going to go over each canvas with my torch to pop those air bubbles before we continue with the process of the marble and then the lacing. Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun. Let's just drop the marble into the canvas and then we're going to just do one at a time. And I'm literally going to tilt the canvas and move the marble across the canvas into each of those puddles. And then I'm just going to tilt the marble from side to side so it travels all the way through the paint and across the canvas and across those puddles we've already layered. Now the marble is going to create the lines. This is where the colours will infuse, and the marble will drag those colours into other sections of that canvas. So I'm just doing this slowly. Remember, the thickness of the paint allows the marble to be a bit slower than normal. So that's the first canvas done, and I'm going to go straight into the second canvas. So as you can see, I've just dropped my marble from the first one to the second one, and I'm going to repeat that process. I'm just going to allow that marble to travel around each of those puddles that we've already layered and all the way around the canvas itself, helping the paints to infuse and the marble to create the lines. I'm loving the detail that we're already creating and all those lines there, and they're just going to be really wonderful when we stretch those out. You'll see those definition of those lines even more when we do tilt the canvas. So I've shown you the close-up of the marble creation that we've used, just using the marble where we've tilted it across those puddles. So now I'm going to take my swipe paint. Now this is mixed with 3 parts Australian Floetrol and 1 part Amsterdam Titanium White. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to swipe twice on each of these pieces. When I place my palette knife down, I just allow it to almost hover over the top of the paint that's already on the canvas. And then I drag the palette knife in the direction that I intend to drag it. I don't press too hard because I don't want the paint to completely move. The intention here is to take the white paint, hover it over the paint that we've already layered, and almost glide it across the top to create the lacing itself. So I'm going to do this on both canvases, and then we're going to tilt out that design. Okay, I'm really happy with this. I'm loving the lacing that's popping through. So I'm going to take one canvas at a time. I'm just going to remove my stand. And then I'm literally going to tilt the canvas from side to side. So when I'm doing this, what I'm really looking at is what side I want to start on first. What part of the paint am I not really that bothered about in terms of the pattern or the design? So I will look at that and I will tilt that first. And then I will move the paint back on itself by tilting it in the opposite direction. That's going to help with the flow of the paint as well, and it's going to maximize the paint usage that you've got on your canvas. So I'm just going to literally tilt it from side to side, covering the full canvas. And the parts that I don't necessarily like, or the parts that I'm not that fond of, I will push over the edge. Pull the paint back on itself, and then push the paint back over the side of the canvas that needs the coverage. And when you do that, just walk the paint, tilt it from side to side, walk it across the canvas. So that will help with the shape of the pattern that you've got on top. If you went just from one side to the other without almost walking it, you would distort that pattern that you've already created. But by doing it slowly, walking it from side to side, so slowly tilting from one side to another, you'll help that paint move in the form that it's already in. So that's what I'm going to do for both of those canvases, and I'm really happy that the yellow has kept its vibrancy, and I love the balance of the block colour, the lines and the lacing. So I'm just going to finish this first one, move on to the second one, and then I'll show you a close-up of both of them. Remember, if you want to maintain the pattern that you've got on top without distorting it too much, just slowly walk the paint across the canvas by tilting it from side to side whilst moving the paint to the area that you want to fill your canvas with. So here we go. Let me show you a close-up of the wet version of each of them. And you can see those colours, you can see those lines that were created with the marble, and you can see that gorgeous lacing that we've achieved with the swipe. And I'm a real big fan of this technique and the combination of those techniques to create this type of design and pattern. I really do love that balance between each of them, using the same colours, but using and creating a slightly different combination of the designs, because those lines and that lacing really work well together with those blocks of colour. I'm going to let each of these dry, and then what I'll do is I'll take you in for a close-up of the dry version. So here we go, they're fully dry. They just need a couple more weeks to fully cure before I apply a coat of varnish. I always apply a gloss varnish to my pieces. I've got quite a few pieces to varnish, so the weather hasn't been great here in the UK. That's my excuse. I'm putting them off, I know I am, but I will varnish all these pieces with a Winsor & Newton high gloss varnish. It's a spray varnish, and that just adds a really lovely glossy coat to this piece. So I'm going to do that before I post them off to Denise. And Denise, I really hope you enjoy your pieces. I know you like them because I've already shown you a picture of them. But thank you so much for entrusting me to make a special piece for your home. It really is an honour and a privilege, so thank you so much. And to everyone else, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching me create these, watching me go through the process from start to finish. And I really hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you do something similar with this kind of tropical colour palette, and I'd love to see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.